Hello everybody, my name is Mattie and I'm back with another reaction video. Today, we're going back to our roots, back to the place where it all started, one of my first reaction videos ever that encouraged me to make more and more reaction videos in the K-pop genre. We are going to be reacting to another Blackpink song. I know a lot of you are probably here because of my Blackpink video that I reacted to before and the whole series that I've done on them. If that's you, thank you so much for tuning in and thank you for waiting for this one. I hope you enjoy it. Today's song is Boombayah. Boombayah, which sounds like Kumbaya, my lord, which is like a folk song in American music. But anyways, let's get into it. Today I'm going to give my music production perspective on this song, to break down what's going on in the musical frequency spectrum and what's happening and what I think about it from a music producer's standpoint. And without any further introduction, let's get into it. Here we go. Blackpink, Boombayah, my first time reaction. Here we go. Lisa. I gotta say, Lisa's my favorite. I might be biased, but she's awesome. I'm gonna preface this video by saying that.
Blackpink in your area. Blackpink in your area. Being a bad girl, I know I am, and I'm so hot, I need a fan. I don't want a boy, I need a man. Click clack, bada bing, bada boom. 문을 박 차면 모든 날 바라본 굳이 애써 노력 안 해도 모든 남자들의 고피가 팡팡팡 팡팡 바라바라 팡팡팡 지금 날 위해 축배를 짜자자.
Whoops. Okay, so far, my thoughts. Kind of a classic Blackpink vibe, kind of a classic K-pop vibe, what's going on so far. We have a sort of a basic drum set, just a rhythm section that's not having too many parts going on. We have that nice kick, we have a little bit of a bass, and then we have what sounds like a vocal chop, you know, something like that. We also have a lot of energy in these vocals. It seems like they're going for more of like a rap but the bow bow vibe, and I don't know what that means when I just said it, but I like it. I like the vibe that they're going for. I dig it. Let's continue on. All right, so what they're doing here is they have a kick drum in the bottom end, but really the bass frequencies so far are kind of dropped out. What that does is a couple of things. When the bass actually hits, when it drops, which is I'm assuming what they're building to in this part, it's gonna have that much more impact. When you take something and then you take it away and then you put it back, it just adds anticipation and it adds an element of fullness to the mix that wasn't there before. That's what I'm assuming is gonna happen. It sounds like they're gonna drop it. Let's see. If this bass comes back in, I'll let you know. Okay, so for this build, so I was wrong. That seemed like the end of the verse. This seems more like a build to me. It has a little bit of a switch up of a chord structure, of chord progression. That's fine. But it also has added in a little bit more bass. I'm assuming that the drop is going to add in even more bass. And so it's sort of building on itself. Instead of a steep drop between no bass and bass, they have a staircase of sorts between the levels. Let's continue on. So far, so good. Boombayah. I'm assuming that's going to come back in. I heard it in the verse before and when she was rapping. Let's see if it comes back in.
Boombayah.
Aha.
Yeah, Boombayah. Yeah, Boombayah. Yeah. Boom boom ba, oppa. Yeah.
Okay. I told you. But that's a pretty common thing in songs for them to leave out a bass part like that so that when the bass hits, it's even more prominent. And when it comes in, it's prominent. You have a sidechain bass with the kick, and they're working together. They're holding hands. They're handshaking. They are good friends. They know exactly what they're doing in the frequency spectrum, and they're bouncing in and out of each other, which kind of creates that, oh yeah. And also, the bass is loud. It's the main part of the song in this drop, and that's great. There's also some sort of like sitar-like flute. I don't know. It sounds like an Eastern instrument. I'm not very well versed in what that instrument might be called, but it sounds cool. It's keeping a little bit of the melody, keeping some more of the chord structures going, and a little bit more rhythm to the part than just the, you know, just the sidechain bass in the bottom end. Let's continue on.
이제 달려야지 뭘 어떡해 난 철없어 겁 없어 man Middle finger up if you pay me 90s baby I pump up the jam 달려봐 오빠야 Lambo 오늘은 너와 나 젊으면 gamble 감히 난 막지마 혹시나 누가 날 막아도 I'ma go brrr Rambo 네 손이 내 허리를 감싸고도 Front to my back 내 몸에는
Okay, once again, they're doing the same thing that they did in the first verse. They are dropping out that bass line so that when it comes back in the actual drop, it's that much more powerful. Gotta say, I like the reference, Pump Up the Jams 90s. Probably one of the only parts I understood because it was in English. However, great reference. Let's continue on. Okay, love the chord progression there. We're using some unusual chords, which I always appreciate. Instead of just the basic, generic, diatonic chords, we're shifting keys, we're modulating a little bit, and I love it, I love it, I love it. That last one sounds like a major third instead of a minor third to me, and a major third 7. I'm not sure exactly what key we're in, but I can tell that's what the chord is, and you love to hear it. You love to hear it. Let's come back in for this last drop. Well, I don't know if it's the last drop, but let's come in for this drop. Take a listen to how the bass sounds. Even if you're not listening on nice speakers, phone speakers nowadays usually can pick up some of those bass frequencies, and especially in a mixed song as good as this, you're going to be able to hear some of those bass frequencies. Obviously, it's better on a better sound system. Those lowest frequencies get lost on something like a phone or something like a computer, but I'm sure you can still tell that they're there. What happens is the harmonics of those bass notes get carried up, and then our brain kind of perceives them as lower than they actually are. In fact, our phones don't go much lower than about 250 hertz, and if you were to play that, I mean, it just doesn't sound that low if you were to play that. It does sound low, but not as low as 50 hertz sounds. Okay, sorry, a little bit of a rant. Let's listen. Let's go.
Boombayah
Okay, let me point out one more thing about this drop. There was not a lot of elements going on, but in a good and well-produced song, there shouldn't be. There is a focal point, which is obviously the vocals. Whenever the vocals are going, that is exactly what the listener should be listening to, the lyrics and the emotionality of a voice. However, in the background, there's not a lot of other elements. Sure, there are some nice production effects like cymbals and risers and downers and uppers and all knick-knack paddywhacks. However, the main part of that production is the kick, the sidechain bass, and that little flute melody. I don't know exactly what instrument that is. That's it. So you have the vocal, you have those three elements. That's all that's going on, and that's fine. When you have a little amount of instruments like that, it's so much easier to focus on things going on. A lot of times in amateur productions I've seen, people want to throw in a lot of things into the chorus to make it more impactful. But you don't always have to do that. In fact, it's probably better if you don't. The more simple something is, the more easily digestible it is, the more listenable it becomes. That's a general rule. That doesn't always work, but the more times I've stripped down some of my productions, I've stripped down some of the elements away and focused on the things like the bass and the vocal and the kick. It's done really well for me. Same thing with Blackpink and Boombayah. God, Lisa, how are you? She's just gorgeous. Look at her. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Anyways, let's finish out the song. Got 20 seconds left. I've gone on a couple rants. I always do. I always think of stuff as we're listening. So that's all good. Let's continue. Blackpink in yo area. I went on quite a few rants during that video. I don't know how much more I have to say after the fact that it's over, other than Blackpink is they're just great. I don't have a ton of other words to describe them other than great. I wouldn't say that that was my favorite song by Blackpink. However, it was still really good. The production was awesome. I loved the way that they kept you anticipating that bass line in the verse and then the build. And then when it finally came in the chorus, it was that much more impactful. I love that. The dancing, on point. The set design, probably the best I've ever seen. Well, that's not true. I've seen other great sets from Blackpink. I can't imagine that the production budget that they'd have for a video like this, when they're shooting at like 8 different locations with different outfits, all looking amazing and well filmed. Great. You can tell that this group is something different. You can tell that there's a lot of money behind them. You can tell that they're all extremely talented dancers, singers. The team that worked on the music production obviously knows what they're doing. It's great to hear. It's so awesome to hear sort of the upper echelon of what's possible with music, especially when you have so many people trying to work on music, so many people trying to do music as a full-time job. It's crazy what can actually happen when a group of people gets together that is the best in the world and makes something like this. One of a kind, one of a kind. That will do it for my analysis of Blackpink Boombayah. If you like this video, leave me a comment of another video you'd like to see me react to in the comments below. Until next time, peace out.